Hello and welcome back to another video. Boris Johnson has been under the limelight recently for all the wrong reasons. Even though the Prime Minister had a few good policies during his time as the PM, he received a lot of backlash after he hosted an alleged party at one of his houses. Let's take a look at everything about the ABBA and Boris Johnson hangout. Number 5. What did Boris Johnson do to cause such public outrage? During the times of COVID, Boris Johnson, the PM of the United Kingdom, decided to allegedly break the laws he himself set and held a party in one of his flats to celebrate a win over Mr. Cummings, who had left the office with all his belongings. Now, even though the media claims that this was a winner-takes-all moment, the British people weren't impressed by this act and demanded an investigation to find out if the Prime Minister was actually part of something like this. The anger of the people in this situation is well justified, considering the fact that Boris Johnson was the leader of the country, and he made such a heinous mistake when the country was actually struggling to deal with the COVID disease, and the UK was going through one of the worst times in their history. You wouldn't want people making the rules and laws for the country to be the first to break them, since they have to be role models for the rest of the people to look up to. As COVID was a disease no one was expecting, and hence people were reluctant to follow the newly made rules and regulations. Number 4. Was ABBA invited to the party? There were multiple reports that one of the guests at the party was ABBA, where neighbors could hear ABBA tracks being played at the party. Even though the party was hosted by the Prime Minister's fiancé, it's still not okay that Boris was there and that other people were invited to the party as well. The news actually took some time to become viral, but when it became viral, people wanted answers, as most of them weren't expecting their PM to be part of such a scandal. As expected, people close to the Prime Minister's fiancée denied her hosting any sort of party and claimed that all media reports were false and there was no party being held at the flat. But the public outrage led to the police starting an investigation against it. Number 3. Who started the investigation? Initially, the investigation was started by Sue Gray, who worked on the project tirelessly to find groundbreaking evidence on the case that was more than just media reports and were actual findings related to the party. So yeah, those of you wondering how all of this got big and who was the person who started all of this investigation, you have Sue Gray to thank for that. During her investigation, she interviewed multiple people to find out who was at the party and who wasn't, and focused on a few people who would most probably be near the PM at all times. With the evidence she got from some of the most influential people in British politics, she initiated a strong case against the British Prime Minister and his wife. Sue and her investigation did remarkable work, as because of her investigation, the case became more important in the eyes of the public, and people started following it more carefully. Initially, some of the politicians sitting in the parliament didn't give it too much weight, thinking that this was just a rumor which would pass, but when the police got involved, the case became more serious even for them. Number 2. But why were ABBA and Boris hanging out? We know that some of you might be wondering why the British Prime Minister would make such a stupid mistake, especially during such a deadly pandemic that was out there taking millions of lives all around the globe. According to reports, the party was held to celebrate Mr. Cummings' resignation as the Chief of Staff, a position that holds a lot of power. He was fighting to hold this post against the then fiancé of the Prime Minister. Hence, when Mr. Cummings resigned, the Prime Minister's fiancé held a party to celebrate her victory against the former Chief of Staff. Therefore, she held a party in which important people were invited to celebrate their victory. One thing that might surprise you is that it is also reported that multiple civil servants were also called to the flat to apologize to the Prime Minister's fiancé for the lack of support during this power struggle, and were even asked to kiss the ring. This to us seemed like something too extraordinary, as this is something that no one would expect to happen, especially in the UK, where laws are so strict. Number 1. Will anyone be punished for this party? Even though this was a big scandal in which people were expecting quick results, you would be surprised to know it took its fair share of time to unfold. Moreover, after the police got involved, it was expected that the results would come out faster. However, according to some reports, there was an issue of people backing out of the statements they made to Mrs. Gray. It was believed that people realized that they would have to face the consequences if something was found. We still have to wait and see how things unfold as time progresses. Boris Johnson has resigned from his post as the Prime Minister, even after he won the vote of no confidence. But with several members of the Parliament leaving his government, there's still a lot to see on how things turn out. Well, here's all you need to know about ABBA and Boris Johnson hangout. What do you think about their hangout? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more such content.